Okay, so let's talk about coordination between floor plans, second and ground floor, for example, as well as floor plans to site plan, and how some people do like to use XREFs, meaning they create ground floor in one CAD file, second floor in another, and then create XREFs linking each other. I'm personally just not a fan of XREFs. So I came up with a way that I like to do blocks that allow me to help keep everything coordinated and show how everything works. So I'm going to kind of build that right now and show what that workflow looks like. So zooming in down here, what I want to do is indifferent of the layer, though ours is going to end up on step layer because that's just what we use in our office. We're going to create essentially a foundational outline of our ground floor, and that's where we're going to start. So to do that, the way I like to do is I'm just going to draw this line, and I'm doing it from the bottom left to the top right because when I Control X that line and then Control Shift V, which is essentially turning that line into a block, you see it gives me an insertion point right there, and that's really all I'm looking for. And just for ease of consistency, I'm going to put that insertion point somewhere on my site plan, and here I'm using the intersection of the setback line, but really it could be wherever you want. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave this block here for a moment. First, we'll actually rename it. So I'm going to double click it, and you see it just gives this generic weird name. I'm going to copy that name. So Control C, I'm going to hit cancel, and then REN to rename. And old name, I'm going to paste that name in there. And then new name, I'm going to put something to the effect of, let's go with like O1 ground floor. You can name it whatever you want, but I just like kind of having a name for it and say okay. So now if we double click it, you see that is the name of the block. So I'm going to make sure that I'm on 0 layer and by layer by layer. We're going to change that in a minute, but I always like working on 0 layer. PL for polyline, and I'm going to start drawing a polyline around the house. And so I'm just going to snap from corner to corner, and we're going to trace around the house. And when I get here, this is a covered entry, but I'm ignoring the outside for a moment, the patios and whatnot, and we'll get to that in a second. So you see, I'll just keep moving around the outside of the house, and we'll just quickly trace around the house. And again, I'm ignoring this outdoor patio for the moment. And we'll close that off. So if I click and highlight it, you can see the outline. So that's good. And now I will come back in and I'm going to outline my patio. So that's that patio. I am also going to just put in some reference of the step line that will occur between the house and the garage. So that's going to be that line there. And my second floor overshoots my ground floor. I think these are not aligned. I was going to align them real quick. And let's align, move. That's better. And I always like making sure that my plans are some distance away. I'm making it 150 feet. This one's off a little bit, so we are just going to adjust. Perfect. So now, I am going to just project this down because this is actually creating our covered patio. So I'm just going to draw this line from here to here. So now, if I layer isolate my zero layer, that changed. So I'm putting that back on zero layer. So now that all should be there, layer isolate. So this is all on my zero layer. And that's the outline of my ground floor. So that actually works out really well. So now I'm going to do RFE for reference edit. And I'm going to select this block we made. And then I can import and say add to working set. And so now all of these are in there. And then the last thing I want to do is I actually want to keep it on zero layer, but I want to change it to by block for color and by block for line type. And you'll see why in a minute. And we can erase this out. And then I'm going to turn those layers back on. And the other piece I want to show is I'm actually going to cut out what would be my elevator chase. And we will match those properties as well, just to make sure that it's on zero. And again, by block by block. That's really important. So now we can do SR to save. And what I want to do is I'm going to select that block we made now. If I move it, you see the block. I'm going to select this block and we are going to change the layer to, again, whatever layer you need to use, but we use what's called a step layer. So now I have that there and it's all aligning with my house, which is perfect. So now I get to do two things with this. I am going to copy this up 150 feet because my second floor is 150 feet up. And I'm going to make another copy of this. And I'm just going to snap it to this intersection and start making my site plan. So here, I am going to match properties. This here, if I turn on, I'm going to turn on a couple of layers, which will be my site note. I actually want to turn on my roof layer. So this is just a reference line for my house, for my site plan. It just has the site building is what we use. So I'm going to do MA to match and select this. And I can select right here. So now I have the outline of my house on my site plan. And similarly, I have the outline of the floor below on my second floor. The only difference is I'm going to change here from to my wall exterior low layer. And I'm going to change the line type to hidden. Actually, sorry, I'm going to do dashed. So now I have my dashed line of my floor below. So that's all really good. But I'm immediately, so this part of what we're doing here is I immediately see where something is off, but we'll figure that out. And that's kind of the whole point. But I think something just moved by an inch. Oh, actually, I believe it's because I moved everything over there. So if I project this up, which should be, sorry, this up. Yeah, this, I just got to move all this over 1 inch. But again, that's the beauty of this. This allows me to see what is working and what's not. So now everything is working, other than I know I just need to, I know we had adjusted this balcony by 1 inch on the downstairs, but I don't think we did upstairs. So that is perfect because it lets me know that something was off. And now you can see what was 30'9" is 30'8". So that is now perfect. The next thing I want to do is going to be kind of the reverse. So to do the reverse, actually, I take that back before we do the reverse. What I do want to show is you can see that since our second floor overextends the ground floor, we're seeing this dashed dotted line for my ground floor below inside of the house. And from a drawing perspective, we would not really want to see that. So what I'm going to do is my outline I have as a polyline, so way I just kind of draw my exterior walls. I'm going to use this as an X clip. So since this is a block, I can X clip it. So we're going to go XC for X clip, and I'm going to select this block. So that's selecting the object, right clicking, and then down here, I want to say new boundary. And instead of saying rectangular, I'm going to use S for select polyline. And I'm going to select this polyline. Now, it just X clipped it, but it X clipped it the wrong way because it defaults by X clipping to the inside of a circle or polyline, whatever you want to call it. But now if I come in and click on this line, you see my line is selected. If you go around the exterior edge, you will find this arrow right here. It shows up in different places. You just have to find it. And if you click on it, it reverses how it X clips. So now when I click on it, you see the it only has what is outside of it. So that's actually kind of cool. Now that was using the exterior walls as my X clip, but in reality, you can see I'm still seeing the wall below from the balcony, which we may or may not want. So at worst, I'm just going to draw another polyline. Whoops. In this case, I want my polyline to go around my second floor. And this polyline is just going to be used to quickly X clip my my ground floor walls. But this time you see I'm just doing an outline that encases the balcony as well. So now we can go X clip and select objects, new. And this time it's we want to delete the old boundary. So we say yes. And then we're going to say select polyline. And now I'm going to select the polyline again. And I can actually delete this polyline. I don't need it anymore. Choose this line. And now we'll look around and you can see the arrow popped up here. And when I click it, it reverses it and you can see all those lines go away. So inside of that is nice and clean, but I can still see the walls of the line of the walls below. So I'm going to do another one. So I'm going to draw a line just like I did before, Control X, Control Shift V, and I'm going to put it in the same insertion point. So INS moves it right there. And we can do RFE for reference edit. And, we'll polyline again around the building. And again, I want to make sure that we are hitting the exterior walls because that's what our outline is really meant for, to show the walls above. We can close that, and then we're going to come back in and we can outline the balcony. This way we'll know exactly where the balcony is living. And that should do it there. Now, similar, I want to do my elevator pit again. Again, it's going to be very important because I need to make sure that this elevator pit matches the one below, so we'll always know that it matches. And in this case, on the second floor, I'm going to show where my stairwell is being cut out because that's going to be important to make sure we're aligning with the ground floor as well. I'm going to select all those lines. And again, we're going to go color by block and line type by block. And we can get rid of this and do SR for save reference. So again, on the second floor, Just like the ground floor, I want to put this on our step layer. And then I'm going to copy this down 150 feet just because I keep my plans apart that way. And this time I am going to change this to my wall interior low, keep the colors fine, and then again, make it dashed. So now I can see where my wall below, or my wall above, excuse me, is living, so I can make sure that walls are aligning where they need to be. I know this one doesn't. This was a particular change we were requested to make. And so we've already dealt with that structurally. Ideally, this sliding glass door would be right here so that we're wall over wall. But the idea is we know what is happening. We know where things are so that we can deal with them. And that's the whole point. And again, if I click on it, you can see my stair is perfectly aligned and you can see my elevator is perfectly aligned. I'm going to take this one step further. I'm actually going to erase my elevator block on the ground floor. And I'm going to come to my second floor and I'm going to do RFE again and reference edit my second floor outline. I'm going to select my elevator block and I'm going to add that to my working set and then save it. So now my elevator is actually part of this block, which will automatically show up down here because it's part of this block. Meaning, if I ever were to change where these walls are located, you can see my elevator is no longer aligning and I would know that right away. So it's a really important way of keeping everything aligned. And so it's just really helpful. Now I'm going to copy this. Again, I'll find this reference point and we'll place it right here. And again, I am going to match it to here. And so I now have my second floor outline and my ground floor outline on my site plan. And I'm going to do one additional thing. I'm going to edit this block one more time. And I am going to hatch the inside of this. Let's go hatch. Here we go. And I have my site parts. This is just my template of things I use to draw site plans. But what I want to do is show my second floor area. I have this hatching kind of created. I'm going to copy it, come over here, paste it. And all I'm going to do now is match this hatching to this hatching. And so this has, it places it on my site note layer, it places it on the right color, etc. All those sorts of things. And when I close and save it, you see when I do my site plan, I can now show where the second floor is in relationship to the overall. So that's kind of what I'm trying to accomplish here. And even though you see it on my floor plan right here, when I print my floor plans, my site notes are generally turned off. So this is what it'll look like here. So it doesn't cause any kind of issues. But for our purposes, I'm just going to leave it on just so that we can see it. And then I'll run through our layers just to show you what it looks like at the end. So that's how I do my ground floor and second floor outlines to make sure that everything is aligning. And why is this important? So as an example, let's say this office, per the client, they're like, we want to make this 2 feet bigger. We go, okay, we'll make that 2 feet. Well, okay, I have to adjust this. And just to show you, if I dimension this to where it was, and I'm going to move this over to my site plan, you see that's matching the 22.8.5, and I'll dimension it again, 22.8.5. But now if I reference edit and I stretch this over, it's now 28.5, and I save, and I go to my site plan, you see my site plan has automatically updated. So that's kind of the beauty of working this way. Similarly, even though you can't see it, it's updated here. I mean, you can see it, but you don't see the reference. But again, if I project up, you see that we're perfectly aligned. So it keeps my ground floor and second floors always aligned. I'm going to undo and go back because I don't need that change. There we go. So that's the beauty of it. And similarly, if I were to update the second floor, I would see it on the ground floor. My site plan would all get updated, all that good kind of stuff. Now, I'm going to do another one. So I have already drawn my my driveway, and I made it into a block. I like so if I do BE, just a block edit, you see this is my driveway. It's just lines to represent everything. I don't need to go through the tutorial of drawing the driveway. This is where my insertion point is right here. So you see if I click on it, you see it. So if I move the insertion point, and I generally use like the same kind of area, and I place it there. Again, I had already pre-drawn this driveway, but the point is that the driveway connects, aligns, all that sort of stuff. And now I can make a copy over here. So this way, if I make an adjustment to this block on this plan, it'll automatically get adjusted over here as well. That's, again, the beauty of the system. Same thing with the pool. So this is the insertion point. So this time I don't have the block of the pool, but I do have it pre-drawn. But we will update the pool real quick. So just like before, I'm going to draw a line, Control X, Control Shift V. I'm going to double click it, copy, escape, REN for rename, paste in place, and then we'll call this pool concept, whatever you want to name it, doesn't really matter. Okay, and then we're going to go RFE to reference edit, select the pool, add everything in. And what I like to do is the pool itself, I like having, I'm actually going to quickly update one thing real quick. I'm going to move all these lines because these are all exploded, and I'm going to show you what I like to do. So I'm going to move this over just 50 feet. And then I'm going to move over all this internal stuff. Let's move this over. Let's go this way, 50 feet. And that was a polyline that I didn't want to be a polyline. I'm going to move this back. So now what I have is the pure outline of the pool, which is what I want. I have a custom command called PJ, which just all it does is create polyline join. You can do that just by doing polyline edit and selecting, but this just speeds it up. So now my outline is a polyline, and I want to make sure that it is set to by layer and by layer. And then I have the 8-inch outline for essentially the pool wall. And I'm going to do the same thing, PJ, and this turns this into a polyline. This one I want by block, and we'll move it back over the 50 feet. And I'm just going to clean up these lines real quick. And all I'm doing here, these could just be normal lines, quote unquote, but I just want to make sure that it's by block. And you'll see why I do that in just a second. And we'll move that back and SR to save it. And so what I'm going to do now is it's on 0 layer, but I'm going to change it. We have a site pool, I believe. Or is it just pool? I always forget. I usually end up just matching things. Let's see, PVP, I don't see it. So I'll come back here because I always keep everything over this way. So here's my pool. Oh, hardscape pool, that's what it is. That makes sense. So now that I have my hardscape pool line, I'm just going to match and go there. And everything is blue, which is our dark color. It prints at the heaviest. but I don't want the outline of the pool to print that way. So now if I select a block, since the outline we made by layer, I can change the color to be 8, which is a much lighter print for us. And so you can see the steps and the outline, all that sort of stuff changed to be 8. And so now we get the pool that will print nice and dark, and then the outline to print nice and light. And my insertion point just hits right there, and I can drop my pool right into place. Now we're just going to do the same thing with our roofs. Now, obviously I have my roofs pre-drawn, but you just have to draw your roofs. But the idea is we're going to do Control X, Control Shift V, double click, copy, escape, REN to rename, and we'll call this roof outline 01. That's fine. And we'll say OK. And then I'm going to come up here and we'll say Control X, Control Shift V, double click, copy that name, rename, paste, and we'll say roof outline 02. And now I'm going to RFE, and we will add this to the set. And I want to make sure that this is by block on 0 layer. And I can erase this reference because, you know, once you have the insertion point, you see the insertion point is there. And we will reference edit. I don't need that. We will add and then erase. And again, we will make sure we are, see this one's not, so that's good. We're going to clean this up by block and by block. And we will save. So now we can move these over. So I'm going to move this one over to here. Again, I used this same reference point. And we will move this one here, but then move it up. Whoops. Because this is actually off. So that's a good thing. So like always using the same reference point, we can make sure that we are hitting the right places. So I know that this overhang is, again, just a concept roof plan right now. And so I know this is where the roof is supposed to go, that insertion point right there. So I'm actually going to reference edit. I'll show you how I quickly fix it. I will add this, save. And it's going to be easier if I block edit, but I did add that line in there for a reference, and I'll show you why that's important. So now if I go to block edit, and now if I move everything but this line, I can move this to where my reference would be, save, save, and now my roof is in the right place, which then I can copy this over to here. I can copy this over. And so right now, all these roofs are on 0 layer. I do want this one up here as well. So on my ground floor, I only need the ground floor roof because my ground floor plan will never see the second floor roof. There are certain instances where we might want to show that, but it's really not typical. This will be placed on our roof layer because on the ground floor, we need the roof itself. So when I go to the second floor, I'm just going to match property. So my second floor, I'm not going to match both the ground and the second floor. I just need my second floor to be the roof layer. And I'll show you why that's important in a second. But this time, the lower roof, I am going to put onto our wall exterior low. And I'm going to leave it as a continuous line, not a dashed line. So now you can see why our floor below is dashed, because you actually don't see it because there's a roof in the way, and that's why our roof is solid. So that's the way we are graphically showing this. Now, we'll do one other thing. This is my site plan. roof layer. So now if I go match, and I can match to this and this. So this is showing the dotted line of our site plan roof. So just like we talked about before, we were able to create these blocks so that if my roof plan were to ever change, it changes on the ground floor, it changes on the second floor, and changes over here. So that's really what's happening and why all this is important. I can also, forgot to copy my pull over, but I can copy my pull. But again, since it's a block, if my pull ever changes, it changes in both places. If my driveway ever changes, it changes in all places. If my floor outlines change, they all change and keep everything coordinated. So that's the beauty of this system. Now, we talked about this being on roof layer down here, and then upstairs we have roof and wall below. So the reason why that's important is if I hit FL, which is our shortcut for our custom commands, that turns everything back to our floor plan layer. You see the roof disappears, which is good because we don't need the roof on our floor plan. But if I hit RF for our roof plan, you see the roof does appear, which is great. Now, if I go back to floor plan, so now on our floor plan, I don't see the roof above my second floor, which again is a good thing, but I do see the roof below, which again is a good thing. So that's why the two layers are different, because I need to see them differently. I want to reference the roof below on the floor plan, but not the roof above. But again, if I go to RF for our roof plan, I can now see the roof plan, and you can see this turned really light. So everything is really faded below, and just the upper part is really what's popping. And that's exactly what we want. And then if I go to SI, which is our site plan, you see everything here shows up perfectly. So one thing I do want to point out, I'm going to go back to floor plan. I realized my second floor for my walls above, I told you we place it on wall interior low. That is actually incorrect because, and I noticed it when we go to our roof plan, so RF for roof plan, I need to see the outline of the second floor on my roof plan. That's going to be really important. And in our system, that layer does not show up on the roof plan. So let's go back to floor plan. And what this should be is this is going to go on our step layer. So step, but we're going to change the color to color 14, and we will keep it dashed. That's totally fine. So now that's the only change I needed to make. So now when I go to roof plan, that did not show up either. That's surprising. Let's see here. So I totally blanking on this one. I usually use pre-made custom blocks that I don't even have to think about this, but realizing it's not step, it's actually wall exterior is what I want. But color 14 and dashed is what stays, so that's perfect. So that's what we want to put it on. So now everything should work. So if we do RF for our roof plan, you should see that we see the dashed line as to where the second floor lives, which will be important when we do structural layouts and all that sort of stuff. So that is the process for making our blocks. And really what we made is, I'm just going to do some copies here. So we'll copy this. So this is our ground floor, and I'm just going to separate them out just so we can see them. And this is our second floor. And maybe let's just put this over here. And again, this isn't anything you would normally do. I'm just kind of breaking everything apart just so you can see what we did. And then we'll turn on, I was going to turn on our roof layer, not the roof system. And we'll bring this down here. Maybe I'll do it like this and like this. And then we'll also copy all of this. So what we made for our site plan specifically is our driveway and our pool, as well as we have our, let's move this down here and this over here and this over here. So you can see we have our ground floor block that will show up in all places. And since it's a block, it'll get updated every time. We have our second floor, which is here, here, and here. And the layers we used, we have our roof plans all here. So again, it's pretty simple. It's really just these, 1, 2, 3, 4 house blocks, because all of these are duplicates, as well as a pool and a driveway. That's all you're really making, but that allows this whole system to coordinate amongst itself so that if a change happens, we know it happens and we can see if something is off. And that's what this whole system is about. Hopefully this all makes sense. I know this is talking through it using our custom AutoCAD layering system, but that's not really the point of it. The point is more about how you utilize these blocks so that you can create less work for yourself. Is really the idea, that you draw it one time, you have it in multiple places, so you're not worrying about, did I update it here, did I update it there, or if I updated it, did I not correct it somewhere else, because it becomes immediately apparent when the reference block seems out of place and out of whack. And you saw that a couple of times. We were dealing with things so that we knew right away we had to update it. So it's more about this concept, this mindset of how to utilize the blocks to your advantage, and that's how we like to move forward. So hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully this was informative and talked through our process, and should be very adaptable to however you work with your layering systems. Again, it's creating more of a mindset in how to work. Hope that helps, and we'll see you guys in the next video.